Alright, so today we are going over the cuts of a goat, or where do these meat products come from on a goat. So here you can see our handy dandy little chart. Hopefully you can kind of see it. Basically we've got the neck, the shoulder, rib, loin, leg. We've got the breast / flank, and then of course the shank. So we're going to outline kind of where on the goat. We have a live goat for you here today. And kind of what sorts of things come from these parts. So if we look here, this area right here would be the neck. Also, if this goat freaks out, she hasn't really been worked with. She's just participating in our demonstration so she can, survive and eat and stay here. Just kidding, we love all our animals. Anyway, so we've got the neck, which would be located right here. The neck can basically be used for sometimes neck steak, which in most of the cases there's not a lot of meat or muscle necessarily on there. So typically it's going to be made into ground or sometimes used for stew meat. Then we've got our shoulder. Our shoulder, which would be right in here, right there, would basically be used for rolled shoulder, shoulder roast, blade or arm chops, and then basically kebab or ground. Down here we've got our shanks, which can basically just be used for ground, for kebabs. Not a lot of muscle on those compared to some other species. Right up in here we've got our rib. So our rib would be where we get our, trying to keep that from blowing, kind of our rib roast, our rib chops. In the sheep, that would be the equivalent of the rack. So we get just a few more. These are where some of our higher priced cuts kind of on our goat are located here. As we work our way back here, we've got the loin. So this would be where basically most of our chops, basically where most of our chops would end up coming from, or loin roast would also be right in here. The next section we have back is the leg. Now on a live goat, we call it the thigh. When it's meat products, we call it the leg. So the leg would be, again, where a lot of our roasts or sometimes our leg chops would come from. And then we've got down in here what we'd call the breast, which would be where some of our riblets, our rib cuts, or a lot of our ground goat would end up coming from, okay? So that's just a really quick overview on the parts of a goat, or the cuts of meat that we end up getting from a goat, and kind of some of the things that end up coming from it.